What's going on, dudes? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my bald ass head. Today marks the second installment in the side story mission series of Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst. You know the drill here. If you've already seen the first episode, we go through each side quest bit by bit of background, bit of story, read into the lore, all of the good stuff. If you enjoy what you see here and you want to see more, please consider leaving a like, subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you in the video. Alright, so we are back and ready to collect the next quest. A couple of things have changed. We are no longer using the Hunuel. The only reason for that was because later on the same day that I uploaded the last episode, I decided to party with loads of people, and she's now massively leveled up. So that project is parked for the time being, but I digress. Let's just move forward. We are now on the Hucast. Hucast is approaching Ultimate. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and take our next side story quest, which is claiming a stake. So we're claiming a stake. Essentially, you're tasked with finding and bringing back a greedy landlord. This is Rakton's son. He's our client. So what he's saying is, my father Rakton has gone to claim land on Ragol. Can you please find him? And he'll give us a very, very generous 700 Meseta. How could we say no? Skip dialogue, we're not going to do that. Ah, here you are. Hunter, my father disgusts me. As soon as we arrived, he ran off saying, I'm off to stake out the land. Staking out Ragol? It's too early to do that. We don't know much about Ragol. It's dangerous. Please find my father. And we will oblige. Let's go. Let's do this. So, much like the previous quest, we are going to be entering the forest. Now, what you'll notice with this side story, for those of you that haven't really played much PSO in general, is the side story will give you a nice little introduction to some areas, some enemies, items, that sort of thing. Now, with the side quests, the more you do and the more you progress, you'll start to venture further and further into some of these areas. For example, to begin with, you might only start in Forest 1 and end in Forest 1, and then as you start to take some more side quests, you'll eventually end up in Forest 2, caves, so on and so forth. In my opinion, if you've never played PSO before, this is probably one of the best ways to experience it. You get a little bit of lore, a bit of sort of background texture about what's going on, and you can also take in the environments as well. Now, the side story, without getting it twisted, is exactly what it says on the tin. That's not to divulge from the main story, which is mainly told through the little information nodes which are on the floor, from bits of script from the principal, just dotted around speaking to various different NPCs. But the side story is another way of kind of giving Ragol a bit more texture, a bit more fleshed out. So as you can see, these enemies don't really pose too much of a threat to us. We're on very hard, but we're approaching ultimate. We've got some decent gear, decent mag. But if you were to be a newer player, even if you were on normal, this might take you a little bit more time to clear. Now heading into one of my favorite areas in Forest 1. I absolutely love this little waterfall backdrop here. There seems to be, I know a couple of people have said this before, and I guess I'll just echo it, but there seems to be like one or two standout areas in each zone of the game that are just really picturesque. It's I don't know what it is, like even for the age of the game, like back when it first released, like this would still hold up really well, especially to complement some of these areas as well. You get these little bits of sort of visual information that gets dotted around in most of the zones. You've got these little drop pods. Sometimes you get, like I said, some of those information nodes where you can get a bit of context from, and it really does kind of paint a picture that as much as it's really picturesque here, something has gone drastically wrong. And we're about to experience that from our little friend here, who is supposed to be a father, but he definitely looks younger than his son. He says, oh, I'm scared. What are these monsters doing here? I can't raise the price of this land if these monsters are hanging around. My son asked you to take me back to Pioneer 2? Question mark. Cough. Or, as the kids say, of course I'll go back with you. If you do me a favor. This is not the bargain, mate. We're not here to swing dicks. Let's just go. I've left 3 capsules on prime land locations. You go and recall all of them, then I'll go back with you. Why? Because the capsules aren't cheap, mate. Just go and get them. Hurry now. Capsules are this way and that way. Brilliant. So we are off to assist babyface Mike. We're going to go get his capsules back, go back to his pod, and wait for all of this to blow over. This is another nice little room of Forest 1. So we found our first capsule there. There's a little stream just behind this Go Boomer here, which is really, really quite nice. Sometimes I come here for a few little thumbnails, just adjust the camera, turn the HUD off. Nice and picturesque. Just wandering about in this stream, and I've just noticed that some of the water texture, I think I've changed a setting or something, but look how goofy some of the water textures look. That's well funny. On to our second capsule. I'd urge anyone that is considering doing the side story in Blueburst to really sort of take in the text, get to know the characters, because in a lot of games, side story is exactly just that. Like, it's just side trash that's tagged on to make the game a little bit longer. But in PSO, there are some really, really fleshed out storylines and some really meaningful characters that you can just completely miss by not doing these things. So coming up on our last room here, this is where the last capsule is. And with that, it doesn't matter which order you pick them up in, as long as you get all three of them, that is absolutely okay. So off to see babyface Mike, and we're going to hopefully get him out of here, and ideally get him a better haircut too. You have all three capsules. Now, let's get out of this dangerous place. Hurry. Ah! It's a manly war cry right there. With that, we are back on Pioneer. Gonna head into the Hunters Guild. Let's go and see what he's got to say for himself. I'm going there again once those monsters are exterminated. Like, you think that's gonna stop me, do you, mate? I'll go back. And his son is just straight up like, look, I'll make sure he doesn't cause any more trouble like this again. Please just go and get your reward. Like, he's done. He's like, mate, he's not even my dad anymore. Like, he's just done. And with that, there's our 700 Meseta and quest over. That does bring us to the end of today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As I said at the beginning of the video, this is going to be a series. There is more of this to come. So do all the liking, the subscribing, the commenting, all of that sort of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.